Hi everyone! In today's video I'm going to be sharing with you some of the products that I reviewed in May that I really love and some of the ones that I don't. Now typically this video is a May faves or fails, but I like to think of it as marry or ghost. In other words, which of these products is going to feel like a long-term commitment, well at least until the end of summer, or which one of these do I just want to swipe left and forget that I had any contact with at all? So please, watch on. In terms of complexion products, the month of May was quite an interesting one for me in that it didn't work out the way I thought it might. Now, I reviewed these Tir Tir foundations. I had to use two shades to get my shade. And I really like this foundation, but it loses points because I have to use two bottles and it's just a pain in the morning. Even though it's a cost-effective foundation and ordinarily I wouldn't mind buying two bottles, that's not the point. It's just a bit of a faff in the morning. I don't want to do the whole Picasso thing with a palette and a brush first thing in the morning. Most days I don't have time, so that's annoying. However, on the Tir Tir front, what's interesting is that I ended up running an unwitting experiment both on this foundation and on the setting spray, because what happened was I went out for my run after work one day and I didn't have time to go home and take my makeup off, which is what I normally do, and then reapply my SPF. So I got changed, went out for my run. Here's the thing, having sweated and huffed and puffed, probably unattractively, this meant that by the time I came home, my makeup was pretty much intact. It was just rather incredible. My eyeshadow hadn't melted, my foundation had stayed intact, and my blusher and bronzer still in place. So this is a really cost-effective and very efficacious setting spray. I'm so impressed with it, actually, not least because the spray has got a very wide angled nozzle. It's probably about 140 degrees, so I just spray ahead, straight ahead of my face, and it covers everything really quickly, so I don't have to do that thing, which is handy, but it clearly works. Also, it doesn't dry my skin out. It just gives gives my makeup a lovely, smooth, non-makeup-y finish, which is what we want from the setting spray. But it's also clearly moisturising. I don't get that sense that I have done the very rare occasions that I have either had my makeup done or tried a setting spray myself, where it feels like my makeup's set in that way and that the cost really has been a slight tight feeling. None of that happens with this. It's actually opened my eyes to trying on other setting sprays as well. So I have ordered a couple and I will slowly be reporting back, because maybe it's another way of me also adding moisture to my mature dry skin. I think this is what this does. So let's see. Now moving on to Merit, which I reviewed, the Merit Uniform, which is SPF 50. I would say I like, but I don't love this. Now, it's partly my fault and it's partly the product's fault. I like the finish. I don't love the finish. I think probably it's not got the luminosity that I would prefer at this time of year, long term throughout the day as it wears. It does wear well, but I don't get that luminosity that I like. The SPF 50 for me is, in the end, is neither here nor there, because I use a moisturiser and an SPF underneath anyway, and that's how I get my SPF, so I don't need that. The shade initially was problematic, but actually slowly my complexion has got a little bit darker, so it's risen to meet that. But in the end, I'm using it and I'll use it up. I don't think I'll be I know I won't be repurchasing it. Not least because, and if you watched my makeup that I bought and I'd forgotten about video, which I will link up here, this is the one that is the keeper. Now, it's not got an SPF, but as I said, that's not really important to me at all. But this has been the one that this has been the complexion product that I've started using and enjoyed using and actually look forward to using. It's so easy to use, gives me the luminosity that I want, just a very sheer boost to my complexion that's perfect for this time of year. So in a way, well, actually, not in reality, this has been superseded by this. Now, this is definitely a keeper. It's probably more of a May to September relationship. See what I did there? But that's exactly when I want to use it. But this is the one that's, as a complexion product, that's superseded everything. I should say that on more days when I want a more full makeup, what I still keep going back to, and I only reviewed it at the end of April, so it's not really technically a May find, is the new MAC foundation, which, look at this. I mean, I've already hit pan on it. I do like it, not least because I can just put it on very, very, very lightly with a very fluffy brush, and that just gives me enough coverage as well. So that's, as a more full makeup, that's what I've been using. But it really has been this. This is the winner. This is going to be my husband in complexion products. But as I said, it may not last very long as a relationship, so I best sign that prenup. Now, on the subject of summer relationships, like this one, I did want to flag something up that I've not reviewed, because I don't do skincare reviews here. I'm not sure people are that interested. However, I am obsessed with skincare, and I'm a bit of a skincare snob, but I just wanted to say that I tried the Lancôme SPF 50 Rénergie. I've got the 30ml, this is the 30ml. They're all refillable, but I just never seem to be able to find the refills on the Lancôme website, but they must be somewhere else and I'm not looking. But anyway, I used this. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I carried on using an SPF on top of this because it was belt and braces. And then when I finished and I bought the 50ml and carried on using that, about 2 weeks ago, I would say, I stopped using an SPF on top of this every single day, more experimentally than anything else. And I was a bit frightened, and actually I'm obviously, I know I'm using plenty of it to get the full coverage, but this is a really, really effective cream. I have had no sun damage. I haven't got any darker than I would ordinarily using an SPF 50, which is my preferred level of SPF to use because I tan extremely easily. And also, it's just a fabulous cream all round. It's not sticky, it's very moisturizing for somebody like me who's got dry skin. It's perfect for my mature skin, and it's a real winner. Now, I should say that I have been using the Rénergie one, the Rénergie cream, the the main Rénergie cream, but the dry skin version, since last sort of September, October. I think I went through three pots of it, 350ml of it, 350ml pots of it, because I am quite generous. I do my neck as well and decolletage. So I like it anyway, but this is absolutely fantastic, not least because I have not needed to use the next step of another step of putting an extra SPF on top. So I just wanted to flag that up. As I said, I don't normally do skincare and I don't want to bore you, but that is worth your consideration if you are a similar skin type to me. The other thing I quickly wanted to flag up, and I know a few of you, I've had a few exchanges with a few people who have commented, is the Lisa Eldridge cleanser. This is fantastic. It takes everything off first go, including as many coats of mascara as I will put throughout the day, and oftentimes I'll just give the mascara a quick zhuzh every 3 or 4 hours if I'm going into another meeting or I just want to freshen things up. So by the end of the day, I can have an awful lot of makeup on. This takes everything off first go, and then the second cleanse can be something a bit more luxurious or whatever. But it's really worth your consideration. It's cost effective. It's got a beautiful slip. I mean, you put it on, it's gel. Looks a bit unusual in terms of texture. You think it's not going to do the job, but the slip on the skin is fantastic. I don't wash it off. I tend to just, well, I do. I just use a warm face cloth and then wipe everything off carefully. And I do a double cleanse. Not always a double cleanse with this. I'll use something else subsequently. However, it's really fantastic and it's worth your consideration. And this is actually my second tube that I bought this month, but I did want to flag it up again in case that would be of interest. But now onto the next set of favourites. May ended up being the month where I just wanted to have a third eye, just so I could use all the lovely eyeshadow colours that were coming out. Now, I bought the Glaminatrix palette, which is this one, the Nearly Natural, only because I was so interested in the tones of Turd that's coming out. I thought I'd give Glaminatrix a go ahead just to see what they were like, because I knew that's a palette that I wanted to buy. That's coming out in a couple of weeks' time, hopefully. I have been overjoyed by this palette. It's just fantastic. It's got loads of lovely mattes, beautiful shimmers, a full-size mirror. It's just a really good price point. It came in a really timely way here to the UK. So I've just been absolutely delighted. I have worn it a lot. Now there are some lovely shades that I particularly like. Look at these shimmers. I'm just reminding you, you will have seen my review, and if you haven't, I urge you to check it out because this palette is worth considering. But look at the sheen on that, just really lovely. And they wear really well throughout the day, and they also, and I speak now as a mature skinned person, they don't do that thing which I sometimes find with, I don't want to say this isn't a premier brand, I just mean when I buy something that's a bit more drugstore, is a little bit more cost effective, over time I notice that my eyelids just get drier. These do not do this. The quality is absolutely there and the colours are beautiful. The mattes blend really well. I'm only showing you the shimmers not because they're the only things that are unusual about this palette, but just to highlight to you that there's not fallout, they're not chunky, glittery, they blend really nicely. I'm a real fan, and actually it's made me want to buy more and more from the brand. So this is a 5 out of 5 standout palette for me, no doubt about it. And actually, because it's still quite light, it's thin, as I said, it's got a mirror, I would still take this on holiday with me. I wouldn't take it on a long weekend, but I would still take this on holiday with me. It is really, really lovely, and I've been absolutely delighted. And also, there is that thrill of finding a new brand to get excited about. So 5 out of 5, full marks. Invite me out on a hot date, Glaminatrix, because I'm up for it. But there was stiff competition this month because we also had Lancôme's offering of the Idôle Café Crush. Now, this is also an absolute winner. I was going to deduct a point because I know American makeup lovers were disappointed that they didn't seem like they were going to get it, but I think as from yesterday or the day before, it's on the US Lancôme website. So that's fantastic news because this is worth it. This is a really lovely palette. There's a special place in my heart for Lancôme in general, both makeup and skincare. So I'm delighted that more and more people are going to be excited by this, and perhaps people who haven't tried their eyeshadows, because this is worth it. The mattes are lovely, the shimmers are lovely, it's all great. You may already have these colours in your collection and these shades in your collection, in which case you won't be as excited. But if you want to refresh your brownie tones and soft shimmers in terms of your collection, if you want to refresh that and have a fresh start, I can't think of a better place to start than this palette. It's just wonderful. Also, as I said in my review, this would make such a lovely gift for somebody who's a young adult who's just starting off on makeup and wants to up their game in terms of entering the more premier market. It's just got everything. Lovely mirror, great packaging, I have to say, nice and sturdy, very travel friendly because it's not that big. Just compare it to the Glaminatrix. I know you get more shades in the Glaminatrix, but it's very usable and travel friendly, but wonderful. I've really enjoyed using this, but as I said, my only regret is I don't have enough eyes. I want more eyes. Anyway, on to another winner, Danessa Myricks. Now this is the Freedom palette. Looks like this. You can see I have really used it. Weirdly, the shade that I've used the least, I mean, it's the one that I thought I'd use the most, but I haven't, is this one. And that's only because I've enjoyed the shimmer so much. But these are fantastic. It's a different price point. It is definitely at the pricier end, given that you only get 6 shades. But the quality is there. The shimmers are fantastic. They really are metallics and shimmers that you can see from the moon. So you're definitely getting that wonderful impact. And again, it's nice and small. It slots in. If you've got the other Freedom palettes, you can slot it in and curate your own version. I won't be doing that because I just get too confused. But this has been fantastic. This is also absolutely a star. 5 out of 5. I mean, that's just, it's been a really amazing month for high quality eyeshadows. It really has. Not least these Beauty Pie eyeshadow sticks, which are fantastic. Great price point. and I have used them. The one I've used the most is the middle one. I forget what it's called, but I will put it up here. Oh, Tea Rose, I'm sorry. And it's an in-between shade, just easy, taupey pinky, I would class that as, with a bit of metallic through it. Really easy. This is the one that I've ended up putting in my small makeup bag that I carry in whatever bag I've got. So it's not like a full makeup, it's just emergency makeups in there. There'll be like a small mascara tester, a lip gloss, and this, because actually this is really easy. Smush it on the lids, rub it with your finger, and then just go on the lower lid. I've used this a lot. The other two are great as well. It's just that this is the easiest one to slot in as a one-off. So these have been a winner as well. Really, really good. It's just a lovely formula. They have nailed it at Beauty Pie. It's just a very, very good formula. Extremely cost effective as well. Now the last two palettes, again, that I do really love, but one has ended up actually dropping a few points because it wore worse by comparison to the other. So here are the two I wanted to show you. One is the Chanel, and the other is what has ended up becoming the love of my life, actually, is the Givenchy 9.15. So what's happened really is that even though they are similar-ish colour stories, not really, it's just that they share a couple of the warm colours here that Chanel has. Similar-ish in the Givenchy. The middle tone in the Givenchy is nowhere near as gold as the Chanel. However, here's the thing. With the Chanel, this is the tone that I want to use my finger and put on my eyelid. And as this has got more used and it's got lower and lower, I can't fit my finger in. It's just really annoying. And that's actually stopped me using it. And it's actually made me a bit annoyed because these are absolutely not a budget option. And while there's not a lot of product in there, I would like to access the limited amount of product that is in there. And I can't do that comfortably. Whereas with this one, this just does everything. All the shades are so usable. I love them all. They're all delightful. They're so smooth, so blendable, just an absolute pleasure to use. There's a creaminess to them, even though they're not cream, there's a creaminess to them as you apply them with your finger. They're just wonderful. I've got them on at the moment. Just really usable, soft. You can amp it up and make it more dramatic. Very flexible tones. I actually haven't stopped using this. I really haven't. It's just an absolute delight. It's been on my table all the time and it's just been really lovely. And so as a result, by comparison, Chanel has really dropped off my radar, even though the shades are really very nice. And this orangey goldy shade, which I know is not to everybody's taste, but it is to mine. I really like that colour. As I said, I've not really used it. The equivalent Givenchy is much more peach, much lighter, but actually it blends, that's the Givenchy there, it blends better than the Chanel. As I said, easier to access with my fingers. I don't think I've got particularly fat fingers really for a woman. I think I've just got average size. I mean, my hands are small and I don't think my fingers are any fatter and they just don't fit in there and it's just annoying. So the Givenchy has basically won hands down, not least because you get 9 shades, and I have to tell you, I have used all 9 shades repeatedly. I think the one that I've probably used the least, not because I don't like it, is this pink here. I do really like it. It's just that I've ended up gravitating towards these gorgeous, warm, peachy, apricot-y tones. And while I have used the pink, as I said, if I look at it, that's the one that's still got more of the pyramid left than the others. But really wonderful. And also, and this is when we come down to, is this really real marriage material? Is this palette real husband material? What else it does? It does the makeup equivalent of taking out the trash without having to ask or nag. It's got a brush that fits together and is so practical in an emergency. And actually I have used it when I've taken it out with me and I've forgotten my makeup brushes. I have used these at the two ends, and they've been absolutely fine in a pinch, as I suspected, and as I think I said in my original review, it has actually worked out. So this is absolutely the winner out of their stiff competition, because both Danessa, Myricks and Lancôme give you a real elevated finish. Glaminatrix is the new contender in my makeup world and has been absolutely fantastic, but this wins absolutely hands down. It's been such a great month for eyeshadow. It really has. It really has. I'm very excited. There were 3 mascaras that I used this month. Now, the first I did review, this is Hauslabs, and actually this became less and less remarkable as the month wore on. And actually now I don't even reach for it. There is plenty left actually, but I just don't reach for it because it's a little bit too much effort. I would say it's completely unremarkable. The thing about mascaras, as we know, is if you go beyond the luxury price tag, you really can get, I think, a really good mascara that's at a drugstore price. The Maybellines of the world just provide us with fantastic mascaras, and there are others. So if you're paying this price, it needs to be doing something very different. This is a disappointment, and it's really a fail, and in the end, a waste of money. I'm very disappointed, I have to say. So during the month of May, I ended up reaching more and more both for the Dior and the Prada mascaras that I reviewed the month before that in April. However, some of you will remember that I had a tester of a sample rather of an old not of a mascara that launched last year, which is the Givenchy mascara, and I bought the full size subsequent to using the sample. This is fantastic, and while it's not new, I did want to flag it up to you because this has become my preferred and go-to black mascara. It's really lovely. Even though it doesn't say it's a tubing mascara from what I can see on the website, I think it is a tubing mascara, and it certainly behaves like one when I remove it. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm wearing it at the moment. I get the curl, I get the length, it lasts all day, it doesn't flake, it's lovely and smooth, and this seems to go on forever. The sample that I had really lasted a long time, given how many coats I put on. I keep putting coats on until I keel over, and that sample lasted a long time. This is fantastic. I really recommend it. The other thing that I tried, again, it's not a new mascara, but I had it in my video where I reviewed products that I bought and forgotten about. And this is the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara in the brown. I love a brown mascara, as regular viewers will know. This is wonderful. Thickening, lengthening, does the whole thing, doesn't flake, comes off really easily without real scrubbing. What I would say, and this is still a winner, this is still a 5 out of 5 for me, this does not last the amazing length of time in terms of on the lashes that the YSL Lash Clash in brown does. With this, I think I get a good 10 hours out of it. The Lash Clash, that just keeps going with nothing happening to it for a good 15 or 16 hours. The only thing I would say about the Lash Clash, which is why I'm so excited about this, it's much harder, it's much more effort to remove, and I'm not always in the mood, especially after a long day, to really keep going to take off mascara, whereas this comes off absolutely no problem. Although I should say that the Lash Clash also comes off with no effort at all with the Lisa Eldridge cleanser, so that's another plus for this product that I mentioned earlier in this video. So in terms of the 3 mascaras, in black, the Givenchy L'Interdit mascara, and in brown, the Better Than Sex mascara are just the 2 winners. I should tell you that I have reordered this one to have one in my magic cupboard of spares, and I've also reordered it in black because I would like to try it in black. I just can't remember if I've tried this before. I probably have, and I just don't remember, but I certainly hadn't tried it in brown until I used it in the video a couple of weeks ago. So that is my story of 2 halves really for mascaras. This really is a bit of an epic fail. Both of these are resounding successes, although tellingly, they're not brand new formulas. There are 2 brushes I wanted to mention to you. One is the Refa 21, which looks like this, and I bought on a whim in the sale. It's absolutely wonderful. It's about £21. I got it for half price. It's now out of stock on the website. Even full price, it's worth every penny. It picks up shimmers and glitters beautifully. I can apply it on my inner corner. The brush is long enough to get in there for somebody like me who's got deep set eyes and I need quite a deep brush to go in and smoosh it around. It's just wonderful. It's become my go-to inner corner brush, and there's a lot of competition because I've got loads of them, but this has been the best one. It's even better than my favoured MAC brush, which is also really good, but actually this is better. So I really recommend that, and certainly when it comes back into stock it's worth looking at. The other is the Charlotte Tilbury contour brush, the shapewear brush I should say. I was mixed about this, as I said in my contouring video, but actually I've ended up really liking it. I don't use it with the Charlotte Tilbury contouring products, which have been actually a bit of a failure for me. I use it with this, with the Clinique Chubby Stick, and I really like it. But this brush has been a May winner for me, I have to say. It's just really good. This bit in particular of the brush, can you see it's flat but firm and really narrow, and so it stops somebody like me from ending up making my face look really muddy by over applying. It disciplines me, it kind of stick to that discipline. And actually what I've ended up doing latterly is putting the product directly on like that, with that, so I don't even have to take the risk of getting overzealous with this size of product. These have been a real win for me. But now on to cheek products. How many blushes have been released? I mean, it's just ridiculous. I won't dwell, because I did that in my last video on how disappointing the Dior blush, the powder blushes have been for me, the Backstage new formulation. I will tell you, however, that the glow sticks have been fantastic for me. I've got two colours, Toffee, and I forget what this one is called, and I can't see it now. I'll have to put my glasses on. Goodness me. Just a second, let's have a look. I've only just got my glasses and I keep forgetting that I've actually got them. So this is Candy. So both of these have been absolute winners. They're not sticky. My hair does not stick to my cheeks. That is something that I am just so grateful for. And the shades are just perfection. I bought this one first as part of my review, and I really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed it so much I ended up buying Toffee. Now Toffee is probably for somebody with much fairer skin than me. However, for the tops of my cheeks, it's absolutely delightful. It's got that very soft, glowy, beigey tinge to it, which is just lovely, and it hasn't got a load of gold in it. It's more, by the time I put it on my cheeks, and I'm wearing it at the moment, it's a bit more apricot-y, which I'm absolutely here for. It really is lovely. They're just both an absolute delight. Not just worth every penny. The packaging is lovely. I appreciate the fact that I can differentiate between the two, and I think that's true of all the shade. They're all, you know, they've tinted the exteriors. So I really appreciate it. I think the packaging is lovely. It feels luxe to me. I just really like these. These are worth the money. Fantastic. And there's stiff competition out there with this product, and as we know, Charlotte Tilbury is coming out with hers in a few weeks' time, so let's see what those are, but there are big shoes to fill, because these are really good. And then the other two products, that both of which have been a winner, are not very expensive price points at all. One is the Laura Geller in the Cherry Custard, great name, and the other is the Morphe Trio Cheek Thrills, which I've got in the shade called Beach Bonfire, and both of these are fantastic. I'm actually wearing a little bit of Cherry Custard, and then what I did, because I couldn't resist, I put a little bit of this shade, which is the powder shade in this, on top, and then some of Toffee, as I said, on the tops of the cheeks. So going to the Morphe, 5 out of 5, just wonderful, just a really lovely product. It's pigmented, but it's not pigmented to such a degree that it just becomes a massive effort. These are the shades that you get, really lovely. One highlighter, one creamy shade and one powder shade, really usable. And actually, because they're not really profoundly pigmented, they're just easier for somebody who's not a professional makeup artist. This is far easier to use than the Patrick Tar, and it pains me to say it because I love the Patrick Tar, but it's just, you've just got, for me, I've got to be so careful with it and so super light-handed with it that it's actually put me off using it, because too many times I've made a little bit too much of, or applied a little bit too much, and then it just becomes too much of a big deal to blend and so on. The Laura Geller is pigmented, but actually because it's that baked formula and it's dimensional, it's much easier to use. It's just an absolute delight. That's it there. Just really lovely. I mean, you can see my hand. Just these are all such lovely usable shades for a medium tan. Just really, really lovely. Very much a contrast, isn't it? From Laura Geller to Dior, but none of these three brands have disappointed me in these three formulas. And in the case of Morphe, there are 3 formulas for one brand. Good for them. Really good price point, not disappointing at all. And maybe there have been so many blush releases that everybody's had to raise their game. I would like to think that that was the case, because we have been inundated with blushes, but all of these for me have been absolute winners, so I'm delighted. And finally, lip products. The big disappointment for me of the month was the new Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat Duo. What's it called? Contour Duo for Fill and Sculpt. And I'll tell you why it was a disappointment. It wasn't so much that I didn't like the product. I liked the product. I didn't find it as long lasting as the single lip cheat, so that I am a fan of. But here's the thing, you only get half the product, and so by the time you've lined your lips and then filled it with the other end, you've used up an awful lot of product on the fill side, and then you're using your Charlotte Tilbury pencil sharpener, and you end up, after 4 or 5 goes, with something that looks like that, which just looks a bit sad, really. I don't want to feel sad when I'm thinking about Charlotte Tilbury. I want to feel elevated and cheerful. So this was an epic fail for me, because it's very, very expensive given how little time that it actually lasts and how much pleasure you get out of it, and also doesn't really make that much of a difference compared to my using, as I often do actually, Pillow Talk to fill my lips and Pillow Talk Medium to line them, for example. And I do that with quite a few different lip liners, so I don't feel I need this. This was a fail for me. However, on the lipstick or lip colour front, we've had a few successes. Now, Lisa Eldridge brought out Bohemian Cherry, which I do really like, and it's not a fail. It's just that for me, it's not for spring summer. For me, this is going to be a winter colour, so I've put it to bed to do a reverse hibernation over the summer and then to bring it out in October, because that's when I wear those kinds of colours. However, Society, which is her take on what she calls, I've written it down here, a pretty fresh light warm pink. For me, it's quite corally, but I love it. I've got it here. I don't have it in the main component, and I'll tell you why. I left mine out in the sun. I don't know how this happened. And then when I went to use it, it broke and dropped on my slippers. So now it's covered in a mixture of suede and cashmere and cat hair, which isn't very Grace Kelly, I would imagine. I'm not saying I knew her. I'm not saying I've spent any time at all in Monaco apart from once and I regretted it, but that's another story. So now I'm going to order another refill of these because I really love the colour. This is the colour here, and I love it. It's just that it's broken the lipstick. But this is not Lisa Eldridge's fault. This is my incompetence. That is an absolute win. I love it. It's so easy to wear. Depending on how dark a lip liner I use, I can bring out maybe more of the pink, or actually weirdly, more of the peach. There's a bit of peach in it for me on my skin tone once it goes on my lips. Next to it is the other massive success, which is the Gucci Valerian Rose. Now, this is a lipstick that is not behaving as expected. As you can see, on me at least, it's more of a soft terracotta. Gucci describes it as a classic soft pink. It really isn't, and it certainly isn't. I mean, it's just not. But I love it. I'm wearing it at the moment. I really love it. I love the texture. I love the quality of the lipstick, the way it's got, I mean, they call it a hybrid formula. You've definitely got that high gloss, very moisturising, very long lasting, and that hydrating feel is lovely. It doesn't feel heavy on the lips, but my lips do not get dry throughout the day. I have naturally very dry lips. If I'm not wearing lipstick, I know I'm in trouble and I have to always wear some lip balm. But what this does, even throughout a day when I've been sneezing and my lips are going to be very, very dry, fabulous. I really, really love it. It's just fantastic. And how beautiful is this? This is a 5 out of 5. Society is a 5 out of 5. Bohemian Cherry, not Rhapsody, as I said, that's for me for later on in the year. The shade that I have really failed to use and to bond with, and I'm slightly surprised, is the Chanel Cocoa Flash Balm, which was in Sunkiss. I thought this might be one of the shades that I end up using, even though it's not a shade I would ordinarily have picked for myself. I bought it for review purposes, but I didn't. I found it quite hard to use. It's not so much that that was a fail for me, it's just that the shade in the end is just not a usable shade for me compared to both Society and Valeria Rose. So I think in a way it suffered by comparison, not because of the shade in and of itself, but just the other two are just really easy shades for me to wear, regardless of how much makeup I've got on. Even if I'm just running out the door, I can still just wear those two shades really easily. Whereas a shade that's more towards the orange and coral and red is just hard. I suppose it's partly psychological, but it's just harder for me to wear and harder in a way for me to bond with. So it's not that it was a fail for me, because I love the formula, I really do, but it's just the shade was not as wearable for me at all. But maybe that was a shade that you particularly loved. Let me know, what did I miss this month? Is there something that I loved and you hated? Or the other way around? Do let me know. Do let me know in the comments down below, as I love reading your comments and respond to everybody. I'm just really enjoy hearing from you. And this community that we're slowly building together, it's an absolute joy, really. So please subscribe so you don't miss any other videos. There's loads of fun stuff coming up, not least my wins and fails from the first half of this year. It's a bit of a shock to me that we're already in June, so that's going to be coming up soon as well. So do subscribe, and I will see you in